Welcome to Conscious Profits Unfiltered. This is your host, Sebastian Nam.
Hey guys, in today's show, I interview Kate Flynn, founder of Sun Swell Foods. Kate is an awesome example of a conscious leader who runs a successful, purpose-driven company, and I'm super excited to bring you her story. It's not just about success. It's about the journey of constantly pivoting and the challenges of doing something that makes money but also makes a difference. She's an inspiring female entrepreneur whom I've known for over 10 years now. She's a graduate of Harvard Business School and spent several years working as a consultant in the retail and consumer product space. After switching to a natural lifestyle in 2016, she began making her own healthy snacks to keep her fueled for long days in the office. She soon realized her personal recipes could help other conscious eaters and decided to launch her own natural snack food company. Sun Swell snacks can now be found on the shelves of Whole Foods and many other retailers. Her mission is to make optimized nutrition more attainable for both herself and her customers and do it in a way that's more sustainable for the planet. Enjoy the show. What's up, Kate? Welcome to the show.
How's it going?
It's going great. It's going great. And I'm seriously so excited to have you. And I have to say, it's pretty surreal to me to have you because, first of all, we met a really long time ago, over 10 years ago. I'm not going to say exactly how long, so it doesn't age us.
Don't age us.
Don't age us. At UCSB in the dorms, the first day of freaking school. And now we're doing a podcast together and you're just weeks away from having a human child.
Yeah.
Interviewing you about a purpose-driven brand that you built from scratch. So I'm super stoked.
Yeah, me too. We've come a long way.
We have come a long way. Let me start out by asking you, when was your last oh shit moment? Could be good, it could be bad, anything you want. The first thing that comes to mind, we're like, oh shit.
Gosh, I mean, obviously, and this is related to the business, yeah? Or
could be related, no, anything in life.
Oh gosh, when I found out we were pregnant.
There you go.
I think that was the most surprising thing. Because we weren't planning, and I think I've always viewed myself as I've always wanted to be a mom, but like a businesswoman. And so all of a sudden we're like, whoa, we're going to be parents. We're totally not ready. And yeah.
So now it's businesswoman and mom.
Exactly.
It's how it's going to have to be.
Totally. And I've heard it makes you a better, I've heard it can help make you a better entrepreneur or founder because you learn to prioritize more. So
hell yeah.
So now we've gotten over the oh my gosh, we're gonna be parents. And now we're all right, we're ready for this. So
it's amazing. I'm so excited for both of you. So excited. And what was your last hell yeah moment?
Gosh, I'm sure we'll get into this in a little bit, but we've kind of had to make some pivots and changes due to some of the COVID situation. And there's been kind of little wins every day that have been proving that how we're changing the business is working. And that's just it's really exciting during these challenging times to have these awesome, just several times a day, a win-win-win.
Love that.
So yeah, I think about
having a lot of little micro hell yeah moments daily.
Exactly. And
That's
I think
sick.
A lot of times I like that, the micro hell yeah moments.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's those it's funny because a lot of times the really big hell yeah moments have been this months and months and months or a year of buildup. And so when they happen and they're going to happen in advance of when you can talk about them and all that stuff. So when they happen, you don't, it doesn't always feel as huge as you would expect it to be. So it's really the little daily things, I think.
It's interesting. I really resonate with that actually, because I work so hard for a lot of things, whether it is personal achievements or achievements with my agencies or whatever it may be. And you work so hard for some stuff that a lot of times when it happens, you don't really stop and really appreciate it, feel gratitude for it. And also kind of pat yourself on the back for how much you've done to lead up to it. And you're kind of okay, well, I worked so hard. That's what I expected to do. So it's you just kind of move on and then you on to the next thing. So it's good to stop and be hell yeah, and appreciate it.
Totally. Exactly.
Yeah. So let's rewind a little bit. How did Sun Swell start, which wasn't named Sun Swell, but how did it all start?
Totally. Yeah. So, this is about 4 years ago. I made a big shift to my diet. So I was always when I was teens, 20s, I was always like obsessed with like things like calories and carbs. And I was really focused on like numbers on the nutrition label.
Not common when being a teenager and caring
No.
about carbs, by the way. Pretty cool. Now it
Yeah.
is, but not, you know.
Yeah, no, totally. And it's like a weird thing. I think like, especially, I know that this impacts with like females and males, but females just like get obsessed with like these diets and the diet culture and like all these things, you know? And food was like always like on my mind for a really long time. But almost in like a negative way, like, oh, I can't eat that. I can't eat that. Like, this is bad. Like, oh, nuts have fat. I should stay away from them and like stuff like that. But as I like, right around when I turned 30, I started eating like a whole food diet, which is basically a diet rich in real whole foods. So avoiding, it was, you know, maybe something was low calorie, but it was full of added sugars. Like I would avoid it. Versus like something like nuts, which is like high in fat, but full of like really good fats and like really nutrient rich food. I started eating more of that types of food. So it was kind of like a shift in how I viewed food. And when I started eating this like whole food, plant-based, like real food diet, it was really super life-changing for me. And I started going into grocery stores and like flipping over labels on the top, like on the backs of all my favorite foods that I like to eat, and realized that they were like full of ingredients that I was like, okay, this is added sugar, or like this is ingredient that's like in here just for the color, you know? And so I basically started avoiding those types of foods and realized there was kind of a white space in the market to bring like real whole food snacks to people.
What year was that?
That was 2016. And so I kind of realized that I had a personal need, but I could see the market like had a need for it too. And so the mission originally started with wanting to bring like healthier, real food to people on the go. And
what started from that? What was the first thing that was created from that? What happened? It started in your kitchen?
Totally. Yeah. So it started, and it actually started with a different product. So today, like our main product line are these little like date and cashew energy ball type things. We don't like to call them energy, but that's how most people describe them. But little like date and cashew snack balls. But when we first started, Brian and I, my husband and co-founder Brian and I, were both training for a marathon. And we were trying to like avoid added sugars, and we were training with those things called, if they went like goos, or they're like the little, they basically are these little packets of, and we were trying to follow, like, we're trying to avoid added sugar and like added ingredients. And we're like, wow, all of these goos that are for like these endurance athletes are full of these bad ingredients, or ingredients that we were trying to avoid. And so the first product we made was like our own version of that, which was just like dates and water and a little bit of salt. And Brian actually ran the Boston Marathon using that like thing we made. And he like had his like best marathon ever.
Amazing.
And so the original thought was like, okay, let's bring this like clean energy gel, but then there was a lot of barriers with that. Like it had to be refrigerated and just a lot of it was a really niche market. We're like, this is going to be hard to sell. So we ended up evolving a little bit into a product that was more of like a snack item, fit within the same like ethos of we want like things without a bunch of added anything. But so the core mission kind of started with one product, it's evolved over time, but yeah, started in our kitchen, like just.
And then what was that first product that went to market?
The first product that went to market it's still like our number one seller right now. It's our date and cashew bites. And like our first time on the market was like, we set up a little booth at a local triathlon and like just sold the bites there. And it was like, we had given them to our friends in advance, and we're like, okay, our friends say they like them, but like, we don't know if they really like them. Or if they're just like trying to be nice. But that was like the first time like bringing it to the public, and people like really like them. We're like, okay, we like feel like we actually have something here.
I remember trying some from the back of your kitchen actually. Yeah. They're delicious. Yeah. I love them. So let's talk differentiators. And I'm gonna look down here at my notes because major brand characteristics, right, that set Sun and Swell apart. And they don't they're not just great for the product, but they help generate a bigger connection with the consumers. But I'm looking down because you guys are like all the things, okay? If I go to the website and you go down to the bottom of the homepage, you're certified B Corporation, 1% for the planet, USDA organic, certified vegan, this bag is compostable and made locally in California. Like that's epic. So first of all, Congratulations, because that's really awesome. That's amazing, right? It's something that I can connect with when I look at a brand. So I love seeing all these labels that mean so much. So can you talk a little bit about some of these labels?
Yeah, totally. So, so as I was just saying, like our mission started with bringing healthier food to people. And that's like always been at the core of what we wanted to do. But pretty quickly after we like started our business, we're like, we want this just caring about like you can want to bring healthy food to the world, but do it in a way that's, a business that's only run for profit, and you're, you're not caring about all the other stakeholders involved that you're impacting with your business, and you're not, we realized quickly early on, like, we don't just want to build like a food company. Like we want to build a business that's leaving like a really positive impact on the world. And I can tell, like, I think when I started the business, my mindset was like, okay, I want to grow this like a huge company and like sell it in 3 to 5 years and like make tons of money. Like, of course, like growing the company and profit is like always super, super important. But I quickly could tell like there's other things that really are fulfilling to me. And that's like being a business that you can feel really, really proud about being. And we've always, whenever people ask us who we want to be, like who we aspire to as a business, it's always Patagonia. It's not like, a major food snack brand. It's always Patagonia. And we're fortunate enough to have them, like they're local. We live in Santa Barbara. They're based in Ventura. So they're really like right near us. And I think that's, we're always like, how can we do better as a business? And things like, when it comes to like our ingredients, things like being organic and like entirely plant-based, that's just to support better farming, because you can have good ingredients, but that aren't, good for the environment as organic plant-based ingredients. But when it comes to like the BCorp certification and 1% for the planet, which means
what is a certified B Corporation?
So a certified B Corporation basically means, the way to think about it is it's almost like an organic certification, but for your business. And so instead of having like a product certified organic, your business is certified as a B Corporation. And it means you meet certain standards when it comes to how you treat the environment, how you treat suppliers, how you treat your employees, how you treat your customers. So it really is looking at all stakeholders involved. And really it's, kind of a commitment to use your business as a force for good across all these different elements of your business. So like I always like I think an easy, tangible example for that is when we, as a B Corp, you kind of, to become a certified B Corporation, you have to like get a certain score, like it's out of 200 points and you have to get so many points to earn your certification. And some of the things you get points is like your length of supplier relationships. So how do you switch suppliers every 6 months, or have you been like partners with your suppliers for a long time? Another thing is like whether you're sourcing, if you're sourcing locally, or if you're sourcing, things close to home within several hundred miles from your, from your home or from where you're making everything. And so a good example is like our dates. So a lot of our products use dates. And from day one, we've worked with this farm in Coachella Valley to get our dates. And we love them. They're a huge farm. They work with huge customers, but they treated us with like respect and kindness. And like, since we were like literally ordering like one little 15-pound box at a time, and they like treated us like we were, a big customer, and we always valued that. And as we've grown, we constantly get approached by people who want to sell organic dates at a cheaper price. But, and usually they're imported from like another country. And so if we only cared about the profit, like that, we would say, yeah, we want the cheaper dates.
Right.
They're organic, like they're cheaper, whatever. But because like we're kind of thinking about our business, like all these other different elements, we're like, no, like we'd rather pay like a little bit more to like, be able to stay with this one supplier and have our dates coming from like 100 miles away versus across the ocean.
Yeah. And that's an admirable move, by the way. And, I've been looking for certified B labels on things for a long time, and they affect my purchasing decision. They really, really do, and I didn't know that would be a factor, for example, in a certified B, that you have to remain with your suppliers for a certain amount of time. So that's really cool. Now, it seems like some things could be hard to obtain that certified B, but is it so hard to obtain that it should be discouraging for new startups, or is it still, it's approachable, it's doable, it's not like some bureaucratic like a thing where you have to wait like 5 years to get the certification kind of thing?
No, it's actually like from a cost perspective, I mean, it was way cheaper for us to get B Corp certified than organic certified. I think it's like, I don't know what it is now. I think it was like $500 or something like that. But
Got it.
But I actually think it's easier to do it as a small company because you are building those like guardrails into your company as a young company, versus if you wait, like if you're like $100 million company and all of a sudden you want to switch, like you want to become a B Corp, it could be really hard and expensive for you to like try to make all those changes.
Sure.
If you're doing it when you're a really young company and starting out, your pricing model is like all built on all of those things being in place. So like in the example I was just giving with the dates, if we made the decision to like, let's buy the cheaper dates, and then, you know, eventually we decide we wanted to like, oh, actually we now need to source better ingredients because of this, like all of a sudden our prices are going to go up. That hasn't been built into our business. So I actually think we did it when we were like I think a year after we started. And I think it was like, I'm so glad we did it then. And it's really helped me, like, as like we grow the organization, think within, like, it makes decision-making easier. I think, I think I'm like, no, I can't do that because like I'm committed to this like bigger thing. And the other thing about it is, so you have to get B Corp certified, it's out of so many points and you only need to get like half those points. So a lot of the things that the B Corp will give you points for, like, are like, there's a lot of stuff around employee benefits. Like as a startup company, like we can't give a scrappy startup that hasn't raised like a lot of money, like we can't give amazing employee benefits right now. Like I can't wait until we can, but that's so expensive. Like we just can't do it right now. But when we do, like, that, it didn't prohibit us from getting the B Corp because of that. They just said, okay, you can't do all that. What else are you doing? Oh, you're using organic ingredients. Okay. Awesome. You're, you know, so you get, you don't have to get 100% to get certified. It's like, you have to get like half of the of the potential points you could get. And
the way I see it too, for what you were explaining about it, it's almost like in terms of doing it from the get-go, it's like creating a healthy habit, like, right? But for your company. So it's like staying lean and mean and strong by doing the right thing in the beginning. If you get really out of shape, it's much harder to get back into shape and to eat healthy and work out, right? It's like very similar to your business.
Totally. That's exactly spot on. Yes.
Yeah. So 1% for the planet. And what is that about?
So 1% for the planet means we commit to giving 1% of our revenue to an organization that, a nonprofit that helps the environment. So this was started by Patagonia. And it's basically like, okay, like we owe the environment something for like, you know, it's like, it's a great way to kind of, I don't know, be able to, again, early on from when we started the company, build into like all of our pricing and all of our financial models like that, we're going to be committed to giving 1% of revenue towards somebody that helps the environment. So we choose to partner with an organization that's called the Channel Island Marine and Wildlife Institute, and they rescue sea lions and other ocean mammals like off the coast of Santa Barbara. So you can partner with big nonprofits. The one we partner with is super small. We feel like as a small business,
that's cool.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And you can choose multiple ones. Like, you know, it has to be a nonprofit that's helping the environment. And so for ours, we're animal lovers and they're a smaller nonprofit. So we love that, like, as a small company, we feel like we can make a difference. Like, you know, our 1% goes, you know, can really help them. So, and then, you can choose multiple nonprofits. You can switch them every year or whatever you want. So
really cool, you know. Hey guys, I just want to remind you, if you want to find more content like this, you can visit sebastiannaum.com. That's Sebastian, NAUM.com. You can also get a ton of other marketing resources from myself and my agencies, ranging from SEO to social media, influencer marketing, branding, web development, and more. Again, that's sebastiannaum.com. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the show. There's a lot of statistics out there that show that buyers really want to be able to connect with the same cause that the brand they're buying from is connecting with. So that, that expands through to the consumer as well, which is really awesome. Now, compostable bags, compostable packaging, I know that's been a big deal, and it's been a big hurdle for you guys in different ways. Not all of your packaging is compostable. Some of them are. And I know you were a bit of a pioneer in this. You guys were one of the first to have compostable packaging in your industry.
Yep. Yeah. So compostable packaging is, it's been one of like the biggest, I would say, things we're most passionate about, but also the thing that's made it like the hardest thing we've done since we've been growing the business. Sometimes we're like, man, if we just didn't care about this, like our lives would be a lot easier. But basically, started this company, mission of making people healthier, like along the journey, just became very aware of the fact that we were really contributing to the single-use plastic problem. And to be like totally candid, like before we started the company, like I brought my bag to the grocery store. Like I did my little things, but like I was never like, I would never be the consumer who's like, I'm only gonna, I wasn't extreme about anything. And I'm still not super extreme when I try my best. I think like a lot of us do.
Yeah.
But when we realized, okay, like we have visions for this business to be a huge business. And if it becomes the size of the business we want it to be, we're going to be like a major contributor to like single-use plastic. Like this was kind of like bringing me, I was like starting to feel really bad about that. And at the same time, discovered that their technology is now available to sell packaged snack foods in compostable film. So I started to look into it. I would say part of the reason we were able to or that we did do it is because we were a small company that's like, whatever, let's just give it a try. I think if there are a lot of bigger companies working on launching their products in compostable right now, but they have to be really careful about it because, they're, so if something doesn't work for us, it's like, okay, like no problem. Like we're a startup, like we'll figure it out. But like when you're a much bigger company, like that's a major change for you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of complexities to compostable in terms, like your supply chain changes a lot. It's not, a lot of people think that all it is an extra cost. It's not like, just like, if you think about it, the packaging itself over time starts to degrade because it's compostable. And
how long, for example, just to get an idea?
So they say like the shelf life is 9 months. It doesn't mean it like dissolves in 9 months on the shelf. What it means is like, it might start to like not look as good or like this, like that's the biggest problem that we've had with it is like when it gets to the grocery store shelf or, we sell our snacks like coffee shops and it's sitting on the shelf of a coffee shop. And it honestly, it's even less than 9 months. If it gets handled like too much, it's like wrinkly. It just doesn't look as beautiful as like a piece of plastic.
And it matters.
Yeah, totally. And that's what's really cool about it. It's like theoretically, it's really cool that the plastic doesn't look like or that the package isn't going to stay around forever and that it's not perfect. And it's not a work of beautiful art you don't want to throw away. But consumers don't know that yet because nobody's selling in compostable yet. And so that's been like one of the bigger challenges for us is like, we've had to be really select in what channels we can sell our compostable through. So for example, we sell like UCSB carries our snacks in compostable. Yeah. And that was like, they specifically wanted the compostable and they were going to take out like the existing products they had in and put the compostable in. And we're like, but they are doing it with the understanding that like, it doesn't need to look beautiful on a shelf. They're like handing it, it's like like their catering department, they're handing it out in lunches and stuff like that. So
it's different with larger distributions.
Yeah. It's like, so it really varies by channel. Like who can we send this through? Who can we not? There's, LinkedIn has an office down here, in Carpinteria and they carry our compostables. So it's like, it's really good for certain channels, but, in a place where the packaging needs to look really good for someone to buy it, like it's not quite there yet. At least that's what we've experienced. So there's just things like that. Like, and it just, so we're one of the only people I know who have it, on the market. We just won like a big award for it, like a couple of months ago in our industry. So thank you. We're really stoked to be like, it's definitely complex. We're like the goal, when we first launched it, I was like, okay, by like 2020, we're going to be 100% compostable. And I was like, oh, no. Like, that's not happening. Like we might not like be able to survive if we do that. So we're trying to like do it carefully, but it's
just doing the right thing is hard sometimes. And that's one of the things. Right. And so it's like trying to do your best within the scope as much as possible, hitting all these different verticals and pillars of, purpose-driven brands. Yeah. But sometimes doing it all is impossible. So
yeah. And I think that's one of the biggest things I've had to learn is like, I think your purpose driven brand, your do good brand, like you feel like you want to do it all, like all, and then like, I feel like I find myself feeling guilty that we're like, oh, we're not all compostable yet. And like, I feel really bad about it. That I'm like, whoa, but we're still doing better than like 99% of companies out there with this, you know? And so you kind of have to think about it. Somebody said this once, and it really resonated with me that like, the journey, like it's always like a journey to do better. Like, and you know, it's the whole idea, like progress, not perfection. Like just because we're not all the way there doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. And I think that's a hard thing when you're trying to build like a do good brand and be a purpose driven brand. You can't do it all. And like all, like you have to balance it all within having like a financially sustainable business. And so it's like, how do you do all these things and still grow and still make profit and all that? Yeah.
At the end of the day, if you're not profiting and if you're not growing, you're not being able to help those causes that you're standing by.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So the more profitable you are, the more you can help
the
planet, the more you can help and give back. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So these purpose-driven brand factors obviously are big in terms of helping with purchasing decisions, especially Gen Z and you know, just basically, I guess everybody in the community nowadays, like is starting to care more and more, but more so young people, right?
Yep.
And, but it's not just about the consumers is what I've learned. It's also about your team, obviously yourself, but your team. How does that affect everyone that works for you? How does that purpose drive them and also drive you on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's super important because you're right. I think if you only think about the consumers, like, I think that you run the risk of doing something that's either not authentic, like you run the risk of doing things just because you think you should, versus like, or also maybe not doing something because you don't think they care about it enough. Like in the compostable example, I sent out a survey to like everybody who'd purchased from our website and asked us like how important it is to them before we launched it. And it was not high on the list. And like, I could have right then be like, our core consumer doesn't care about it. Like, I'm not going to do it. But like, you have to, so I think it's important, but at the same time, I know that the trends are supporting it. It was just, you know, it wasn't as important as things like the healthy ingredients, all this. It wasn't the number one thing. So I think that definitely it needs to come from like internally in the organization. The founders and the team have to be passionate about what the mission is and what you're believing in for it to really be I think authentic messaging, but B, for like everyone to be aligned and stand behind it. Like just thinking about the compostable, like this doesn't, it's not just like, it really is the entire organization that has to think about it. So if you think about like, we do all of our manufacturing in-house, like the compostable packaging is a little harder to open. So it makes like when we're manufacturing, everybody who's doing the manufacturing is a little bit harder to use the compostable than the regular packaging. But like, so they can either, if they don't stand by that, then they're just gonna be frustrated on the days you have to do that versus like, okay, we know it's more, no, it's a little harder to work with, but like, it's worth it, you know? So you really need kind of everybody. And also like, it helps when you have the rest of your organization, like thinking about ways to improve as well. Cause I think, you know, as founders, like myself and Brian try to think about it constantly, but like having the idea flow, like from throughout other people, like only helps us do better.
It's so important to listen to your team and listen to everyone involved and making sure that they're just as involved and care about, you know, what you guys stand for. It makes everybody work harder, it makes them want to stay longer. The more they stay with you, the less turnover you have, the less training you have to do, which also costs money. There's so many like pluses of having everybody involved and be passionate with your brand.
Yep, totally.
Yeah. So a big part of your distribution strategy, which was a little bit non-traditional, was going through corporate offices, fitness studios, co-working spaces, as opposed to just going to grocery stores. And now all those places are closed.
Yes.
They've been affected obviously by COVID-19. What has been your pivot?
Yeah. So we realized quickly early in COVID, once things started shutting down and, you know, once San Francisco had like, I think it was as soon as San Francisco put that shelter in place, we're like, okay, the world's going to shut down for the country and the world is going to shut down for a little while. So our entire 2020 growth plan was based in these alternative channels that are like currently not open. Not only our growth plan, but like a lot of our our business was mainly wholesale. Yeah. So
you guys must have been freaking out.
Yeah, we were actually on our baby moon when this all happened.
Oh,
and we were like,
what a baby moon. Oh no.
we were like, this is supposed to be our last relaxing trip, but whatever. That's why it's good to be passionate about the work you're doing, because at the end of the day, we're like, doesn't feel like work, so we're fine. But
that's great.
But so our initial thought went to like, this is common for, I think, a lot of CPG brands. Our initial thought was like, okay, a lot of our channels are not open right now. How do we sell more online to the consumer? Mm-hmm. And our immediate thought was, okay, right now we make grab and go snack foods. That our entire, like, one of our major points of our value proposition has been bringing grab and go snacks to people when they're on the go, but people aren't on the go anymore. They're now at home. So what else can we offer them to make, like, to, make them be more incentivized, like purchase from our website versus, buying grab and go snacks that they might not need right now or need as much. And so we had always been like kind of sitting on the idea of adding like what we call like pantry staples to our website. So things like, we know our core consumer is buying things like coconut oil and hemp hearts and, cashews and nuts. Like, we know that
bulk, like when you go to the store and right.
Exactly. Like, we know everybody's buying those things right now. And, or that's part of we know that's in their pantry typically.
Correct.
And so we know it still needs to be in there, like if maybe even more now, because people are cooking and eating more at home and stuff like that. So, we started with saying, okay, like, instead of just selling our finished snacks, let's start selling our raw ingredients as raw ingredients. And we can sell them at good prices because we don't have to add room for like wholesale margins. So basically with typical products, it's like, as a manufacturer, we have to make money, but also distributors have to make money, and the stores we're selling to have to make money. So by the time it gets to the customer, it's like marked up several times. So we're like, okay, we can go direct to the customer with these raw ingredients. So we can sell it to them at good prices. And we're also like, this is an opportunity for us to like go bigger and compostable, because we don't have to we're selling direct to the consumer. We don't have to deal with a lot of those things that I was challenges I was talking about before, of it like sitting on the shelf and, not looking as great and stuff like that. So we basically launched what we're like we're calling it like the planet friendly pantry. So it's like pantry staples, but all in compostable bags, or we have some in reusable glass jars. But and it's been awesome. Like, people have I think two things that have been amazing about it. One is our current customers are buying it. So it's like it's continuing to serve the need of the people who are already shopping from us, like which was so important to us. But then B, it's also bringing us a lot of new customers who, maybe aren't as willing to buy buying snack foods online is funny. Like, how often have you gone to like Cliff Bar's website and like purchase from their website? You usually buy from Amazon, right? Or like the store. And so
from the store,
it's not something you typically don't go like find an energy bar and go on their website and buy it. It's not a common habit. So it also it now is bringing people who like might not typically come buy snack foods on a website, but they're going to buy like these other things.
That's amazing. You know what I love about that? So a few weeks ago, I was giving a talk, a digital talk on Zoom too. Yep,
like everything these days.
Yeah, exactly. The only way we can do it. And it was to international entrepreneurs and CEOs. There was about 60 of them in different countries of the world. And it was about adapting to COVID-19 and how to navigate the waters through marketing and just through their actions. And one of the things I was talking about was innovation and also branding. So building a strong brand connection and innovating, because that's what's going to get you to be there the long term and be there when you come out of this, whether when this ends, quote unquote, or when it gets better, right?
Yeah.
So I think what you guys have done there is amazing, because how much of that do you think now is going to become part of the new strategy, which you never know? Some of the new stuff you do may end up making you more money later because of the hardships and your adaptations and your pivots.
You're so right. And like, I feel like so I told you this was all happening when our baby moon. The thing that like, I think kept us in a really positive headspace is I feel like every single time we've had like a major knockdown in the business, like now it's been like, we're going on 4 years of running it. every single time something really like shitty has happened, we've always looked back and been like, thank God that happened. Because if that didn't happen, like we wouldn't be here. It's always been like, and I'm a big believer in like the universe is guiding you to like where you need to go. Yes, like it's all, you know, it's kind of, it's a lot of it's out of your control. Like, so I'm a big believer in like that kind of stuff. And so when we happened, we're like, okay, you know what? Like we're going to end up in a better position somehow out of this. Yeah. And that's exactly how we feel right now is like this, we just realize we've been pushing, trying, you know, a lot of this goes back to this compostable, which is something we care so deeply about. We've been trying so hard to get it to work with like our snack products. And there's been so many challenges. And the way we're doing it right now is easy. And it lets us like have this positioning as like, you know, healthy products and eco-friendly packaging in a way more amplified way than we ever would have been able to in the way we were trying to do it before. And we're like, we never would have gotten here if we were just so focused on growing what we already had. So we're already feeling like grateful for that. We were like forced to like pause and think and like, and it feels a lot like, we feel a lot like we're in the past couple of months has felt a lot like the first like 6 months of or year of running the business. Like, wow. I think the first like 6 months a year is like, okay, you're doing everything, you're figuring everything out. And then at that point, you're just like scaling and building and teaching other people how to help you. It really was like me and Brian, like back to doing everything, like back to doing like figuring it all out. And it was like really like, we've been working really hard the past couple months, but like, it's been like really exciting. And now we're like, okay, we're starting to figure this out. We can like start to carve it off to like get some help and stuff like that. But yeah, really it's been, we're already grateful for like kind of being forced to stop and innovate because we are already feeling like we're going to be able to make a bigger impact as a company with what we're doing right now. That's amazing. I'm so proud of you guys for doing that. And I think that that's how companies have to react. Yeah. And it's unfortunate that some companies will not survive. It really is. But I think that the companies that do survive are the ones that are going to innovate, the ones that are going to pivot, the ones that are going to continue to create stronger brand connections with the consumers and be there for the long run and show that they care. I think that's a big deal when you show that you care. You're showing that as you're launching, you know, a compostable packaging pantry brand, you're showing that you care. And so people are now making that connection and then they're going to be telling their friends about it. And so now this becomes one of your primary products now moving forward. I think that's so cool. Yeah. Now you've mentioned Brian several times and Brian's your husband for anyone that doesn't know. And he is one of your co-founders. What is that like? What's it like to work together? Do you guys want to, you know, pull each other's hairs out sometimes? How do you deal with the challenges that it brings? Yeah. So it's funny. I feel like people are, cause I've talked to a lot of people who like are co-founders with their spouses or like could never be co-founders with their spouses. And I think you fall into one or two camps. And I think that it doesn't have anything to do with your relationship. I think you're either two people who like can work really well together and like, it's a really good thing. Or I think you're like two people who like, it's not going to work well. And for me and Brian, like I'm type A, like he's not like, I like to do the things he doesn't, he likes to do the things I don't like to do. Like I'm a little bit more, I don't know, I guess like intense about things. He's really chill. So like, we really don't like we, of course, like we're not like we never have conflicts like, but for us, it works really well. And I think because of that, I'm so grateful for it because your co-founder really has to be like if you have a co-founder, like they have to be somebody that you want to be around all the time, that you get along with, that like you like trust their opinion, you trust their views. And like for us, it just works really, really well. The biggest challenge for us is like we can never get away from work, right? Because like it's always tough. If you think about it, like when we used to have separate jobs, I'd go to work, he'd go to work, we'd come home, we'd probably like both come home and vent a little bit about or tell a story about something that happened for the day, but like our common point of things to talk about wasn't work, so we spend time talking about other things. Now it's like all we think about, and so like we really have to be really, really conscious about like forcing ourselves, like, hey, we're gonna like go on a walk and like not talk about work right now. Or, like, that's the biggest thing. It's like you never really get a break from it. But so for a while we like weren't aware of that. And after a couple of years, we're like, okay, like all of our free time is spent talking about work. So like, let's try to put some boundaries here. Pump the brakes on it. Yeah. I think you said something really interesting. You said that it's not about the relationship.
It's about how you can work together.
Yeah.
So it's not that relationship's not going to dictate that. It's going to be your
Yeah.
work relationship and how you can complement each other, how you can be your Batman and Robin, strengths and weaknesses. And I think that's really interesting to understand, because you may get along, and that goes the same thing for friends, for family. You may get along great, but it's about the work relationship. That's why some, the brothers and sisters, or that's why some father and sons or mothers and daughters can do it, because they complement each other. It's not about their personal relationship. So I thought great reflection. And so I want to ask you, you're, an excellent leader, and you're an amazing example as an entrepreneur. What do you think the new leader focuses on? What do they have to focus on? What's the one biggest thing today that a new leader has to focus on?
I think that the answer is it's not one thing. I think that,
of course.
I think like that historically, and honestly, even before starting this company, I think that the mindset is it's about like growth and profit. Like that's what you have to worry about. You have to worry about building a big business with like a big bottom line. And I think now, like how things are evolving is like, yeah, that's like a really important objective, but you have to be considering all these other aspects of your business as well. And it's not, that's a top priority for sure, but you really need to be taking into account like how, like your employees and everything, like your bigger purpose. And I think one of the things that's made us successful so far is thinking about like purpose and the bigger picture of what we're trying to achieve more than anything else. So that's allowed us to, I talked about before, our very first thing we tried to launch was like a different product, but we had this like bigger mission in mind, and we like stood behind that. And we're like, okay, like we know we have this like overarching mission. Like how do we move and flow and adjust our business like over longevity in our business to continue to fulfill this mission? But in, a way that works with the times and all of that stuff. So I think that like focusing instead on like one aspect of your bit, like instead of being like, okay, it's all about the culture, or it's all about this, or it's all about this, kind of thinking of like, what's our bigger objective of the business? What's our big purpose? What's our big mission? And then let's make sure we're doing like a good job across all these aspects underneath to like bring that to life. I think is how we view it.
So it's like viewing at everything from like a balance standpoint.
Yeah.
Because you started by talking about growth and profits, and then went back to purpose. And so essentially it's really the balance between the growth and profits and purpose, which we were just talking about. The more you can grow and the more profits you can have, the more you can give back to your mission.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah. And I think balance is a great way to put it. And I think it's like, it's like the work-life balance. We all, it's all about trying to find balance in everything. And I think it's being okay with like the fact that like, okay, we're not going to, you can't be, you can't get 10 hours of sleep a night and work out 2 hours a day and do an hour meditation and work 20 hours. Like you can't do it all. Like you can't do all those things.
I keep telling myself I can. But I can't.
Literally me too. I'm like, gosh, there's still not enough hours in the day for me to do all my wellness things and all my work things.
Yeah.
But I think I think that's a really great way too to think about the company. Like, and I think that especially as like a young founder, we don't have a huge team. I don't have like, I can't do everything perfectly. And it's like balancing everything within like what we can do in the best way we can do it.
Sure. Love that. So, how do we get a hold of you? How can we get a hold of Sun Swell? Where do we find you?
Yeah. So our website's always a great place to start. It's just www.sunandswellfoods.com. And Instagram's always a good place to connect too. So just at Sun and Swell Foods. Those are kind of our two best places to connect with people. So
great. I love that. Well, thank you so much for being with us here today. By the time a lot of people hear this, you're going to have a human child. So I'm really excited for Brian. So I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kate.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Appreciate you.
Hey guys, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. It takes a lot to put these things together, but I truly love doing it. If you enjoyed this episode or the show in general, and you listen to it on audio podcast, please take some time to give it a review. It would really mean a lot to me. And if you watch the video, please go ahead and just click subscribe and share it with somebody that you think would like it. It would really mean the world to me, and it helps keep the show alive. Visit sebastiannaum.com for more content and follow me on Instagram at sebnaum. That's SEBNAUM. Thanks again for spending your time with me. I know it is valuable. I hope you have a great rest of the day and week. Till next time.